going on, guys? It's Keefe. In this video, I'm sharing with you the mindset that once I understood it, once I truly grasped it, I was able to crush fear and move towards my goals so much quicker than I ever had before, and you'll be able to do exactly the same thing. Now, before we get into that, I made this channel to build better men, so if you're guys out there looking to level up, become a high-value man, hit the subscribe button and bell icon. I put out new videos every single day to help you do exactly that. So let's get into the video. So this mindset, guys, it's ultimately about being willing to risk it all because you come to the understanding that you have nothing to lose in the end. I think the line from Gladiator is so apropos here, where he talks about ultimately we're all dead men and there's nothing we can do about it, but all we can control is that we live our lives in such a way that we die as men. And I think that is so important to understand, is that we're all gonna die, and this is an important thing to get through to your head, and it's something we don't want to think about, but there is so much freedom in this recognition that your time's gonna come because you start to live life fearlessly, because ultimately all fear is rooted in this fear of death, right? Like, let's say you're afraid to invest in a course. You're thinking about, like, I'd really like to get good with girls, but you don't want to invest in the course to learn how to be good with girls, or you don't want to invest in the business course, or you don't want to invest in the development course for yourself personally. And people always get this fear around spending the money. Well, why is that? It's because the fear of spending money comes from this idea that money equals your survival, because we need to spend money to survive in the world. Well, if money equals your survival, the idea is that if you don't have money, you're going to die, right? Because if you don't have money, I can't pay for the house, I can't pay for food, I'm going to die. That's the fear that comes with this at the bottom of that investment of money. So how can you, if you're truly afraid of this and you haven't actually contemplated the idea that you, like everything else in life, is going to pass on, and you're not comfortable with that, then fear's always going to get you, because at the end of the day, you are controlled by that deep fear that is at the bottom of all of your fears. So of course, you're not going to invest $1,000 in a course because you're terrified of loss. You're attached to these things because you haven't come to that realization that they're not permanent, just like you're not permanent. But what happens once you come to this mindset, once you become comfortable risking things because you realize that it's all impermanent, this is all just a big game at the end of the day, you're starting to risk things. You're like, you know what? Who cares? I might as well take a chance and go get what I really want, right? Rather than hold on to the little bit I've got clutching to it, right? So the question you ask yourself, like the Gladiator quote talks about, ultimately all we can control is that we live like men, that we live in a way that when we die, we died as men, basically. So you could ask yourself, which of these is how a man behaves in that situation? Do you cower before fear? Do you let your fears control you? Is that what a man does? Or does a man ride head on into the battle against fear? He doesn't let it faze him. He risks it all, and he lets the chips fall where they may. I think one of the most empowering things you can see a great man do is stand up to fear. In fact, I think that's one of the hallmarks of being a great man, is you see them stand up to fear. And the thing about fear is, yes, there's a risk, right? There is no courage without risk, in fact. So in an essence, you're robbing yourself of that ability to truly tap into your manhood if you don't go past fear. And so the mindset here is just understanding you have to, in order to truly tap into the man you are, is you have to let go of this fear of dying, and you have to be willing to take risks. Now, what I have experienced in my life personally is that every time that I've set an intention to go after something, every action I take towards that, there's a fear, right? When I started this YouTube channel, there were two main fears. First one was, what are people going to think of me? The second one was, what if this fails, right? But if we unpack both of these, like all these other fears, we realize they're so unimportant. They're completely irrelevant, in fact, because you have nothing to lose. What does it matter what other people think of you if you know ultimately we're all dead men, right? So the only question you have is not letting fear hold you back, since fear, we know now, fear is simply rooted in your fear of dying. Every fear you have is rooted in your fear of dying. Your fear to approach a woman is because you're afraid in your monkey brain. You're afraid you're going to get ostracized from the tribe, and back in the day, that equaled death, right? So every fear you have is rooted in that fear of death. Now, since we talked about in the Gladiator quote, we know we're all dead men. So you might as well not be afraid of that. So all you have to do is learn to conduct yourself like a man in life, so that when you die to man, okay? So the point is to understand here, these fears are going to come up. So what does it matter in my case what people think of what I put out on the internet? Why does that matter? What matters if I fail? At least I tried. That's the Theodore Roosevelt quote about the man in the arena. At least you were in the arena. The point of that quote is to say, at least you were in the fight. The man who was in the fight isn't the one who deserves criticism, whether or not he fails. It's the person who never jumped into the fight who deserves the criticism. You have to be willing to risk something to truly be a man. You have to be willing to go up against that fear of death. You might die. There is danger in life, and you have to, in order to truly be a man in life, you have to accept that. You have to accept your own mortality, and you have to move forward. This is not meant to be a morbid video. In fact, I find this inspiring, and current life events, world events, have caused me to really contemplate this idea of what are you really willing to stand up for? Because there are things in life that come with risk. And ultimately, what are we so afraid of the risk for in the first place? What else do you have to do with your life? You're going to spend your life doing something. You can spend it being safe and you can watch Netflix and things like that, or you can spend it risking it all and going for what you want out of life. Ultimately, both people are going to die. So I don't understand. And when you really think about it like this and think through it, which most people don't because they don't want to think about their death, but when you really think through it, you start to understand that the playing it safe attitude is irrational. It's a bad idea. It's a bad strategy because both people are going to die. So you might as well max out the life. So once you start to get past this fear, I start to take more actions, right? This is what I've done. This is what other people do. You'll find that people who are truly successful, they just go for it, right? They don't stop and think. Most people want to deliberate on everything. Let me think about it. Let me sleep on it. And then they wait and push it off. But what happens is the longer you wait on something, the more the fear keeps attacking you. So successful people, they just go and they let the cards fall where they may, the chips fall where they may, as they say. So ultimately, guys, what you need to do is let go of these fears. Let go ultimately of the fear of dying by accepting it as a part of your life. And if you ever catch yourself in a spot where you're afraid to move forward, just tell yourself, I'm going to die one day. And then move forward. And this isn't to say, let's go jump out of a plane with no parachute on or something crazy. This isn't to say that let's go intentionally do something that's going to kill us. The idea is we stay safe because in our heads, we haven't thought through the truth that we're all going to die. So we stay safe. We don't risk what we have for what we could be, what we want to be, and to max out our life because of our fear of death. But again, this is irrational because both people, the guy who risks it all and the guy who risks nothing, are going to die in the end. That is the guarantee of our lives. So the question for you is, are you going to die a man having conquered fear and achieved the things you wanted to achieve in life? Or are you going to die having let fear control you and you're going to be clutching to the little bit you have out of life, afraid to lose it, even though ultimately you're going to lose it in the end anyways? That's the question to ask yourself in your actions, in your pursuit of your goals. Is that question. Are you going to go for it, or are you going to hold back and act like somehow you can avoid dying like everybody else, right? We're all going to die. So are you going to go for what you want in life, or are you going to try and ignore that, avoid that, play it safe, and act like it's not going to happen to you somehow? That's the question for your life. Guys, if you're ready to level up as a man, become a high-value man, get the external results of a high-value man, have success, be on your purpose, do well with women, have a great body, as well as internally having that confidence and that drive and ambition, feeling like a high-value man, my Better Man coaching program has a couple spots left that I'm taking on one-on-one clients with. In the program, we work every single week to help you become that ideal version of yourself. If you're interested in learning about the program, you can schedule a free consultation with me in the description box below. We'll talk on the program, find out if it's a good fit for you, and we'll move forward if it is. Guys, thanks for watching the video. If you got something out of it, give me a like so I can reach more guys through the algorithm. Hit the bell icon and subscribe button so you don't miss new videos. And I'm going to put another video right here that I think you'll like. Thanks for watching again. I'll talk to you tomorrow.